Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 132 of Two Left Thumbs Gaming Podcast. It's going to run out of intros eventually, but today is not that day. I'm your host, Puppiez. Joining me this week is Young Retro. How you doing, man?
Good. Thank you for having me on.
Sorry, man. Thank you for agreeing.
Off to a great start. I was like, good.
Yeah. Good. I mean, I've fumbled the intro already, so we're fine. This is great. You know, we're on a roll. Oh fuck, no, no, don't look at show notes. It makes me look like fucking Super Saiyan anime guy. It's fine. We're okay. Great start. Super professional as always. As what is expected of me at all times. How are you, man? What have you been up to?
Good. I have been very busy. This is I'm running on 3 hours of sleep and a dream. I've been very busy this week. I'm very busy for the last couple of weeks. Just working on a bunch of projects right now. Some things I can't really talk about because I don't want to jinx myself. I'm sure you're like that with like some projects that you work on. It's like, man, I'm really excited about this thing, but I don't want to say anything because it might suck.
I had that happen the other week. I had this really promising job interview, and I don't want to say anything because I just put out a tweet because I was really excited. Like, hopefully my negotiation skills go well. You know, I've got this thing going on. I can't talk about it because I don't want to fuck it up, and it all fell through. So I've now learnt my lesson. I'm never speaking about anything exciting ever again. It was like I was like, hey, by the way, I just want to go over the contract before I agree to this job. Like, yeah, sure, no problem. They took them like a week to send me the contract. I'm all right, whatever. And then 12 hours after I got the contract, they called me up and said, oh, we've decided to go with someone else. So if you got the contract, don't worry about it. I'm like, you motherfuckers, give me the contract so I can look at it before I agree to it. And then they just filled the position. I'm like, fuckers.
That is annoying.
But
what was it for? Are you allowed to talk about that?
Yeah. So I'm a chef. So it was for a head chef position in another venue with another company, different from the one I'm working for now. And the pay was really good. The hours were really good. Apparently, from what I could tell, the only problem there was they had a venue manager that nobody could work with. And I'm like, that's fine. I'm a people person. This will be okay. But after doing a little more research after I got knocked back, I feel like I may have actually dodged a bullet. So I heard some more stories. Oh boy.
I worked at a local restaurant for like 6 years. I started there when I was 16. It was the first job I ever had, and I left when I was 21. And oh my God, let me tell you, I think that every person should work in the food industry or work in retail for at least a year just to see what it's like. I guarantee you the world would be so much different. People would be so much nicer to one another, or maybe not.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, I've had friends that worked in retail as well. And like, you know, I mean, I don't have to deal with people as much because I'm back of house, and that's great. But man, some of the shit you hear from front of house, I'm like, you poor fuckers. Like, how do you
raised you?
Yeah. Terrible. It's like, how did you become this shittier of a person to take it out on someone that is just trying to help you?
I don't know.
Maybe, and you're okay with that, you know? It's, man, money.
It's usually the people that have
paying
money.
For services. Yeah, money has a big factor, and it's like, oh, I paid a lot of money for this very expensive thing, so I expect it to be perfect, but it's not perfect because it's 3 degrees off, and I don't like it. Send it back, and I want to abuse your fucking manager.
I paid $35 for this duck. You can go fuck yourself. You were lower than me. You're not even worthy to be on the same level as the dust mites on this tablecloth.
This duck is worth more than you an hour.
I don't know. In those 6 years, I worked from the front of the house as a host, a busser, a waiter, and then eventually I was like, I want to move back into the kitchen. I want to start like learning how to cook because I was starting to live on my own. So I was kind of like, this will be a life skill. But I also learned that I never want to work in a kitchen again. I worked 3 years out of those 6 years. I worked 3 years as a prep cook, and they threw me all around the kitchen in different positions because everyone was constantly quitting. And I was getting thrown into positions that I was not ready for and not trained for. But they were like, you have the most experience out of everyone that's coming in right now. So let's just do this. You know the menu. You know how to do this. You've been over it like a bunch of times. Like, just good luck.
Yeah, I'll be
And
honest with you. That's how most training goes in kitchens. It's like, oh, you've been here a while. You should understand this by now. You've watched someone do it at least once. On
yeah.
your way, go on. You've got this. It'll be fine. And then you get in trouble for going down. And he's like, well, what do I do? But yeah, training is not doesn't happen often. Unless you go like for a proper apprenticeship where you get formally trained. Like I know a lot of people that are like chefs that have never actually qualified, done any formal training. They've just worked in kitchens for so long that they just kind of know what they're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
And
Question
it's
for
really
you.
bad. Yeah.
What is the worst injury that you've received working in a kitchen?
So, worst. There's a lot. So I get a lot of minor burns. Like I'm at the point now where a 3rd-degree burn, I just shrug off and keep working. I have a scar. I don't know if the camera will pick it up. There's like that scar there.
Yeah.
That's like 3 months ago. That's from an oven that was about 540 degrees Celsius.
Man.
And that was just like a quick love tap, you know. It's like, and you keep going. I think the worst one I had was I was shucking oysters. Have you ever shucked oysters before?
I helped once and I was just bad at it. Our head chef was just like, all right, move over. I'm gonna do this.
Right. So you know the apparatus and the process involved. So for those who are listening, this is a great way to go about it. With the oyster shuck, you get was like a small chef blade. It's a long, thin blade that has like a tipped end and then blunt sides. And they have a handle. It looks like a little paring knife for those who know what the fuck that is. And so I put the blade into the oyster to pop it off and twist it. I slipped. The blade went into my wrist, and I missed an artery by about 2 mil. At the time, you know, I just stuck myself. I had this thing in there. My chef. I was like a 3rd-year apprentice at the time, and my chef, I've got myself. He looked at it and said, okay, let's get you out back. And where I was working at the time was it was on an island. So we looked at it and was like, well, the neighboring island doesn't have a nurse on duty today. We're going to have to patch you up. You have to stick it out for 24 hours so we can get you to the mainland tomorrow, because this was during the night. So I'm like losing blood, fainting. So they pump me full of red cordial to keep my sugar levels up. I get back in the kitchen, finish my shift. So
of course, you know.
Yeah, of course, you know. We had things to do, man. There's no one. Like, it's an island. We couldn't call in a replacement. So I was like, okay, I'll just work one-handed. I was like, strapped it up, put my hand up here, just like they just put me on pans, so I could just use one hand and do that. So it was fine. And it turns out I got like I think 3 or 4 stitches for that, and just worked it out and it was fine. But that was probably the scariest one. I've had like lots of little ones like that. I almost cut my thumb off once. Eating avocados, it slipped on the seed, went through the avocado into my thumb down to the bone. That was fun. I met a dishy that this is great. I'm just gonna make people like queasy for the entire cast with like blood and guts stories. Viewer discretion is advised.
Let's do it.
And so I went to the hospital. I'm bleeding out in this poor doctor's new crocodile skin shoes. I'm like, man, I'm so sorry. I'm like dizzy and fainting again. He's like, it's fine. I was in the waiting room talking to another kitchen worker. He was a dishy, and he had a plate shatter in the sink, and the plate embedded in down through here, like into the skin. Ooh. He had to get 100 stitches up his wrist because he had this massive gash just all the way down the back of his forearm. And we're sitting there like, we sat there for like an hour, bandaged up in the triage room, just like comparing war stories. It was the best thing ever.
I'll show you mine if you show me yours.
Exactly. It's one of those things chefs tend to have in common. Oh, what scars have you got? You know, like, what are your war stories? And you start talking about that. It's great.
When you were talking about your burn earlier, I remember like my first week in the kitchen. Like I knew the cooks before from being a waiter, so it's not like we were strangers or anything. There's this one guy who will remain unnamed. I mean, I don't know why I'm not naming him. It's not like he's gonna listen to this. He doesn't know that I do this kind of stuff. But anyway, he pulled out like this like tray of cookies from the oven, puts it on, and I get told to like put like a bunch of cookies on this platter, and he's standing there the entire time, and I go and just being an absolute fucking rookie, just reach for it without a cloth. And I just like touch it and just burn my entire hand. And I had like blisters like on like my fingers like instantly.
they're the
And then he's
worst
standing
ones,
right there, and
man.
I turn around and he's trying not to laugh, and he's like, "Careful, it's hot." And it's like, you son of a bitch.
Motherfucker, that is, to be honest though, that's perfectly expected. I've done the same thing. It's like, yeah, that's hot, by the way, when like the burner. Another good one though is you run up with like something cold, and it's like someone's washing dishes, and as you hit their arm with it, you yell hot. And watching them jump is the funniest fucking thing.
Oh man. I'm trying to think of there's like, this wasn't that bad. I only needed about 10 stitches on my thumb, but I was cleaning a deli slicer, and you have to like turn the guard all the way down to 0, otherwise, oh my god. So
Yep.
our boss always told us you have to wear the chain metal glove to protect, whenever you're cutting or anything like that. And of course, none of us do. But
Yeah, but I
I
mean,
was just
health
cleaning
and
it.
safety exists in paperwork, and that's it. Like, you walk into the
Yeah,
kitchen, it's out the
exactly.
fucking window. Yeah.
Yeah. Or when you guess when the health department's gonna show up, it's like, oh, it's almost maybe it's that time. Let's
It'll be
start
sometime this
cleaning
month.
now.
Just be
Yeah.
careful. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm cleaning this thing with a rag, and I'm spinning the blade, just like cleaning it. And I didn't realize that the guard was just like kind of not down. So I'm swiping it. Cloth gets stuck in like a screw on the top. So I go and move it, and then I have my thumb right on the edge, and I accidentally slip, and it just goes whoop, and it from about right here to the tip of my thumb, just blood coming out of my glove. Like, I'm wearing like a rubber glove, and I just see the blood coming from underneath it, and then I'm just like, oh god, oh shit. And no one saw it. And at the time, I was like living on my own. I was broke. I had like shitty roommates, and I was like, oh god, I can't go to the hospital right now, because at the time I was like a heavy pot smoker. So it was like, if they saw that I got injured, I'd have to go to the hospital, and I would get drug tested. Because if you got, like, part of the policy is if you get injured on the job and you have to go to the hospital, one of the first things they do is they drug test you to make sure that you're not, high or anything.
Yeah. Right.
So I was like, and I wasn't like high on the job or anything, but I was like, God, I definitely have weed in my system. I'm gonna get fired. So I hid the whole entire thing. I like went to the bathroom. I grabbed as much as I could from the first aid kit, like bandaged it myself, and just went the whole entire shift. And then after, I went to the hospital. I got 10 stitches.
That's the man. Meat slicer cuts are the worst, because the blade is generally so sharp you don't feel it.
No.
And like, you don't know the real damage until you start inspecting it. And you're like, oh, it's fine, it's a scratch. And you're like, oh, hang on, I can fit a coin in there. That's not good.
That's not normal. And that chill, that sudden chill you get up your spine when you cut yourself.
Yeah, so that instant like primal reaction of your nerves just going fucking nope.
There's no other feeling like it in the world.
Yeah, it's really weird, because it's not a bad feeling. Like, it's your body like going, hey, you're in danger, but it doesn't feel like that's the case. It feels like, you just had a ghost walk through you, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wild. So now that we've officially grossed everyone off and they've all switched out, let's do some introductions, man. For those who are still here and survived the chef horror stories, who are you and what do you do?
I am Young Retro. Some people after my podcast now know me as my real name. Some people call me Daryl. I am a Twitch streamer. I am a podcaster. I am a flame juggler. I don't know, whatever you want to call me. I just make stuff on the internet. I'm just here. I'm just another dude making stuff on the internet.
Wait, you fire twirl as well?
Do I what?
Serious about the fire? Do you fire twirl?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
No, okay, good. I was like, oh, I do too.
I was thinking to myself, I was like, what do I do? What do I do?
What
And
do
then
I
I'm just like
do?
the
The
panic sets in.
existential
I'm like, oh my
question.
god, I don't do anything. You flame juggle?
Yeah. I don't, not as much as I used to anymore, but I spent quite a lot of my years doing it. Yeah. I was quite not so much with the juggling. I'm not that coordinated. But I used to have a poi and a fire staff. I used to do like every night after work. We go out because again, working on islands, you just go down to the beach and fight. Well, it was fucking great. I need to get back into it though. I miss it a lot. The problem
That's
is
really
though,
cool. I don't think I could do that. Like I'm a drummer and I have pretty good hand like eye foot coordination, but I don't think if I tried flame juggling, I'm pretty sure I'd probably have to start out with just juggling at first, but I
yeah.
100% guarantee that I would set myself on fire.
Well, that's
Have
how
you
I
ever set
started. I
yourself on
started.
fire?
I mean, yeah, but it doesn't hurt. It's weird because like I've done it intentionally too because it's kind of funny and it freaks people out. Because the Kero it burns the Kero but not your skin, so you might lose a few hairs on your hand or whatever. But because there's no real initial heat there, you can like, oh look, my hand's on fire and there's no pain as long as you don't leave it any longer, which isn't too bad. But I
Yeah.
started out with a broomstick, so and like worked my way up from there. I think it was like more reliving like Ninja Turtle days and stuff like that. It just kind of kicks in from there because I did it from like when I was like what, year sevens. I was like 13,
Oh,
13,
that's
14
so
when I
cool.
first started doing stuff like that. I was just trying to be cool. All my friends were doing it. I was like, oh yeah, I'll give that a go, and just
All
kind
your
of went from
friends are
there.
doing it? Who were you hanging
Yeah,
out with? I must
they
have
were
had
like the
boring
cool
friends.
emo guys.
Of
Yeah,
course, the
so
cool
like
emo guys.
the cool emo guys are like out. They go, oh, we're gonna go out and like smoke weed and fucking fire twirl. You want to come with us? I'm like, yeah, that sounds awesome. I want to fit in. And now my life's a mess.
Don't smoke weed, kids.
I just don't fire 12. Weed's fine. So how long have you been drumming for, man?
So I started drumming when I was, oh god, I'm bad at math. Let's just say six or
Right.
seven. I had one of my childhood friends. We used to skateboard together, and we played an orchestra as well. He played the bass, I played the violin, and I was never good at the violin. I only did it just as a social thing, and I thought it was cool at first, but then I started realizing I hate this fucking instrument. So I also knew he played guitar. So one day we were just hanging out at his house and he brings me down to the basement. He's got a whole drum set. He's got a couple guitars. He's got a bass. And he was like, hey, like, sit behind the drums, like see how it feels. And he taught me a couple drum beats that you could just play along to any song, and he would hop on the guitar and play, and I would be like, man, I kind of like drums. I really like it. And at the time, I was really looking for something else to do because I quit Taekwondo, which is something that I was doing for a while. And then I just was just looking for a new hobby. And then I just got a drum set. My mom reluctantly bought me one on Craigslist, off of Craigslist, and the
Was
rest
she
is
reluctant because
history.
she was buying you a drum kit, or was she reluctant because she was buying it off Craigslist? Or was it a bit of
She was
both?
reluctant because she was buying me something that would echo throughout the entire neighborhood, especially the house. I think she was just not ready for a loud instrument
But I
that
suppose,
doesn't
especially
really
coming from
produce
like
notes.
violin, it's kind of it's more. I want to say like more of a delicate sound than bass
Yeah.
drums. And it would be more pleasant to the neighbors' ears, I guess.
Yeah, I remember when I first got the drum set, neighbors would walk by, and because we had it in the living room, which at my parents' place, there's just this wide open window where you can, where sound in that room just echoes out, because we had pretty thin windows. And I remember the first time I hit like a couple drums, my neighbors across the street were just like, "What the fuck?" So it was a rough few years getting used to the drums and listening to a really bad drummer, but eventually my parents were like, they sound like songs now.
You're making we recognize beats now. You're doing well. You made
Yeah,
progress.
It's not just random noise.
So did you
Yeah, I've been
going from that, did you like join any bands or anything like that, or have you always just kind of been like a solo musician making your own kind of
uh
jams at home?
I've been in and out of bands. The one band that I actually am most proud of being in was a band that I was in high school. We started out as a group called Blackout, and then eventually moved to the final group's name, which was Frozen Sun. And the first thing that I did when I first joined the band, funny enough, my friend who my friend who I had discussed earlier, who got me into drums, was actually in that band. And I didn't know until I showed up for the first band practice, which is kind of a weird full circle thing. The guy that got me into the instrument that I absolutely love was in my first band.
That's
Uh,
pretty wild. Yeah.
yeah. We had a lot of, we had a lot of local people that would get us gigs. Started out as like open mics, so not technically gigs, but eventually we ended up meeting other bands and meeting other people around upstate New York that would just get us gigs, and it was great. And we eventually won a battle of the bands, and that was the probably one of the best things that I've ever done as a musician. There was about 500 people there for the Battle of the Bands, and it was kind of like, I mean, granted, people were there for other bands, but performing in front of that many people at such a young age was number one, like really, really crazy because I was nervous the entire day, and second of all, like how many people at like 15, 14 years old can say that, oh yeah, we performed in front of like 500 people at this venue that is like really well known in the area. So we won that, and then we ended up going to New York City to record a record. We already had a couple demos, which the guy like mastered and everything, and then we made an 11-song album, which is on Spotify and YouTube, and it's one of my most proudest accomplishments as a musician. And I haven't gotten anywhere close to that yet. Like I've sat in for drummers for friends that have bands, but I haven't had a band in quite some time.
Right. Okay. Frozen Sun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was the band. Yeah. All right. Cool. I've just
Yep.
found them on Spotify. I'm just getting that there for my listening pleasure later. So, oh, bands, excellent. I've had it like because I've had a few musicians on now. Like, some have been in bands, some have just joined bands or been in and out like yourself. And it's always good to like after the interview, I usually go and like listen and go, oh yeah, this is I like this person more now because they made music I actually enjoy. But it's really cool. I've found like being like a lot of streamers, content creators, creative people, like I've found a lot of musicians through that, which has been really fun. I'm hoping I can eventually collect like a guest band. So I'll just get all these guests that have been musicians and singers and just like, all right, guys, you need to like write a song for me now. I don't care if you like each other or not, but you're writing me music. Thank you. And I'll use it for the intro for the podcast. That'll be great. Thank you. Bye. I'll
That
be
would
back
be
in a week.
amazing. Have you had any
Yeah.
drummers on the podcast yet?
No, you're the first drummer.
Oh, yes.
Like, so I've had like the other two that I've had on, they kind of play a bit of everything. They're mainly focused on guitar and vocals.
Oh,
So
okay.
I've got that sorted. We can use you for drums. We'll get a bassist, and I don't know what makes it. I don't know. I'm not a musical person. I used to be in a choir when I was a kid. Then my voice broke and everything was ruined. Um,
Your voice broke? Like, you mean puberty happened, or just like
puberty happened. I used to be lead soprano in our school choir,
oh
and
man,
then it all went to hell. And then I just
you
like
couldn't even
was
cut it
like,
as a tenor?
nope, couldn't.
Mm.
It was really disheartening because I tried learning the guitar as well, but like my fingers got sore. I just gave up really easily on music. I probably could have done something because like the callus hurt my fingers, and my dad was kind of like pushing me to do guitar, and I'm like, no,
Mhm.
I don't. I'm not really feeling this right now. I don't like being forced to do things, even if I enjoy them.
My parents kind of made me learn another instrument because it ended up being guitar. And also, I'd always wanted to learn guitar. I always had like a little like children's like plastic guitar, which I learned off of for the first 6 months of learning guitar. I'm not as good at guitar as I am with drums. I'm not as confident, but um, I will say like that's where I think most people quit is when you form those trying to form those calluses on the tips of your fingers and trying to
Yeah,
learn just like the scales and everything. It's a pain. It is a literal pain, and I think that's where a lot of people quit. But sometimes you just got to push through the pain.
you do. You do. I kind of regret not doing that now, and maybe when I have some more time on my hands, it might be something I pick back up and learn when I'm like old and retired, and I'll just start learning guitar. Then I'll sit on the porch instead of a shotgun. I'll just be sitting there with a guitar, just like casually just playing riffs as like my sons like take their respective dates to like fucking prom and shit. Just like
Yeah, it's
sit there, play the guitar
like
menacingly.
it's like what it's like their days like what's your dad playing? I don't fucking know.
Good raining
Some
blood.
riff from like 45 years ago. Who fucking cares?
He's still living in the past. We can't get past it.
Isn't it weird to think it's like sometimes we just like listen to like music that like our grandparents or our parents used to listen to, and it's like, wow, that was music back then. And it's like people, it's like our like generations from now are gonna look back at the music that we have now, and they're gonna be like, what the fuck was that?
See, I'm like that with music now. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, I, I was brought up. I guess I was kind of lucky. I was brought up on like Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin and like that kind of era of music because that's what my dad was really into, and my mum kind of was as well. So I've always grown up with that older kind of generation of music, and coming to like music these days, I'm listening to it and going, how does this qualify? I'm like really confused. Like, there is still some great songs that I find out there today, but it's like some of the like the more popular shit that you find these days. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And why do my children like this? I do I even know you anymore?
I mean, the thing about the music industry nowadays is, yeah, I guess talent can fit in somewhere, but it's like, are you marketable? You know, can
Yeah,
you sell merchandise? Can you put asses in seats? Like, it doesn't, for popular music nowadays, I feel like it doesn't matter if you're talented. You know, do you have a great stage presence? Like I said, can you make these large companies money? That's all
yeah.
that people care about.
It's kind of sad. Like, how do you view that as a musician? Like, as someone like that plays regularly, and you're obviously talented. I mean, you can play music better than I can, which isn't a high bar by any standard, but I'm giving out compliments where I can.
No, it's okay.
How do you feel about that? Like,
Um, you know, number one, fuck capitalism. I think money is stupid. That we have to like use pay that like we need to use like this currency and we need like a certain amount of it to fucking live. Um, but I don't know. It's like the music industry is just constantly changing, and with the way that it is now. And I'm saying this as somebody that isn't working in the music industry. I don't know shit about working in the music industry. I was just in a couple bands and I play drums in my own spare time. But from what I see, I think it's incredibly unfair because there's so many talented musicians out there that deserve to be in the spotlight. Like, for example, I've been on TikTok now for about 4 months, and I see so many amazing uh indie musicians on my For You page, and like they'll make TikToks where it's like, oh my god, like 1,000 people or like 100 people or like just like a couple dozen people listen to their song. And it's like I'll go and I'll listen to it, I'll find them on Spotify, and it's like this is better than like 99% of the shit you hear on like your Discover like weekly or like the hot new music that comes out on Spotify. It's like I don't know. I feel like I feel like it shouldn't be that hard to find your own space at the table of
Yeah.
what is the music industry. I feel like everybody should have a spot. Well, not like you have to work for that spot, right? You can't just be given something. Same
You
thing with
can't just be
streaming. Same thing
insanely,
with yeah.
yeah, you can't be
Like same
insanely
thing with
talented
working
and
in a
walk
oh my
in.
god, sorry.
No, it's we'll get there. I'm sorry, I'll shut up. You're on it. You're
No. It's
I'm,
okay. It's okay. This happens on my podcast all the time because of the Discord delay. I don't know if there's a delay here, but it's like we'll talk
me
over each
neither.
other,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh my god.
I think it comes from as well as from this place is like knowing like as people that run podcasts, you're like, all right. And this comes from like when I worked in radio for a little bit as well. Like you like dead air is bad. You can't have it. Like there needs to be a conversation moving. And if there's that 1 second pause, you're like, do I need to talk? Is something going to happen? Do I need to start a new conversation? Where does this go? And then just everything's like, I need to blot, and they start talking. It's like, fuck. And then this happens.
Yeah, I mean, in a live setting, I think it's a lot more crucial to constantly have a conversation going.
Yeah.
When you can edit it later, I don't necessarily worry too much about dead air. I've gotten better on the podcast. Like the last couple episodes, we have, I'd say the last maybe 5 to 8 episodes, will be like, oh wow, I don't think we stopped talking once. Cool. Whereas when we first started doing the podcast, it was kind of, we would have these maybe minute long awkward silences where it's like, what are we talking about now? Shit, we should plan more, kind of deal. But I got off track. What the hell was I talking about? I was talking about the music industry, right? There's a lot of talented people out there, and I think that it shouldn't be as hard as it is to get discovered. But then again,
Definitely.
what do I know? I don't write my own music. I don't know that whole experience of putting your music out there.
I don't write music at all. So you have more knowledge than me. So I will take this knowledge and I will forget it in 2 to 3 days because I'm a fucking goldfish.
Oh, absolutely. Same. Attention spans nowadays are just so... people nowadays just have the attention span of a fucking carrot. I swear.
And it's things like TikTok that astound me, right? Because like if we go back like 4 years, right? Go 4 years. Remember how much of a sin it was to film in vertical? Do you remember that?
Right. Yeah.
And you're like, people used to get shunned for that shit, and now TikTok is like
everything is vertical. Everything is vertical video. I saw this video one time where they were like, would you fucking go to a movie theater where the screen was vertical? No, you wouldn't. You absolutely wouldn't. So why film vertically? Film horizontally. And now it's, like you said, it's like you get shunned if it's not vertical video. Unless it's a movie or a high quality production.
Nothing. Get out. I think that comes through now that people are like practically glued to their phones. I mean, we were a few years ago as well, but I think it's gotten worse. It's the real pandemic is phone use. It's a struggle. But yeah, like I find myself like it's so weird because I just find myself like all the time stuck in like YouTube Shorts for like an hour, and I'm like, where the fuck did that time go? What is wrong with me? I don't even like this. I'm not even enjoying the content I'm watching, but I'm still there just staring at it for no other fucking reason than I'd have nothing better to do. And I'm like, I need to stop it. I've been trying to like actively like instead of like picking up my phone to like scroll through YouTube and watch a few videos, like I'll watch a movie or a couple of episodes of TV because I'm like find myself like, oh, I'll watch an episode and go to bed, and then next thing you know, it's 4:30 in the morning. I'm questioning my life choices.
Did you know that Instagram is now moving towards videos instead of pictures?
I did hear about that. That was weird.
Because they want to compete with TikTok and like YouTube shorts. And I mean, all the power to them. You know, you have to innovate. You have to like be on the ball and constantly paying attention to the trends if you want to survive as a platform. But I remember when Instagram was pretty much, it was just only pictures. It's like,
I remember
that's
when
what
Instagram
it was for.
was a filter, and that's all it was. Before it was a photo sharing. It was just a filter app. And then like, because I remember my wife had it, before she was my wife. That's how long ago this was. Uh, and she's like, yeah, she's like, oh, this thing, it puts filters on your photos. It's really cool. I'm like, oh, neat. And like a couple of years later, it's a photo sharing app, and now it's a video sharing app, and it's it's the growth of that platform just individually has been really, really interesting to look at.
Mm-hmm. Same with TikTok too. I remember when TikTok first came out, people were
I
like,
know. I think we
"This is
have.
just trying. This is just
I
Diet
have a
Vine."
frozen retro. I don't know if you can hear me, buddy. Oh, we've disconnected. We shall be pausing momentarily, and we will get right back to you, ladies and gentlemen. Technical
Uh-oh.
difficulty screen now. Hello.
Hello, hi, we're
We're
back.
back.
Oh my god, what the hell? I was like, internet, what the fuck? No,
No.
no, no. I was like looking around. I was like, okay, everything's fine.
Yeah, you just stopped for a second. I was
What?
like, oh, here we go. And then went young
Uh,
retro offline. Like, oh
that's
boy. We're good. We're good. We're still here.
oh
I don't know
no,
what that'll do to the
it's okay.
recording. I think because it's
Wh-
recording locally, it doesn't matter.
we'll
We'll see. I'll
see.
find out when I edit, which I never do anyway. So I'll
Yeah.
find out when I watch it back on YouTube in a week.
You don't edit? Do you have an
No,
editor?
I rarely edit anything. I when I started doing the this style, like I used to do this with the co-host, and he left for family reasons, which is fair. I started doing the interview style. I found that I really like the kind of raw nature of it, where you get those weird ums and ahs and like just kind of awkward filling in each other's sentences and stuff, and you it makes the conversation feel a little bit more organic. And we've lost him again. Let's see what he comes back. Have we lost Retro for good? Is this the end? Will he return? Find out next week on Dragon Ball Z.
I have no idea. I hate my ISP so fucking much.
Oh
That
man,
was
what?
totally my fault. I have okay. So quick tangent. I have called I have called Spectrum, the only internet service provider we get in this town, twice in the last week and a half, and both times they have told me that there is no reason why I should be getting intermittent internet drop it, like any kind of like internet dropping. Like they told me both times, reset your modem. Both fucking times. That's it.
Just reset your modem. You're doing that for me anyway when you fucking shut it
Yeah,
off.
exactly. It's like, this is why I haven't been able to stream on Twitch in the last like 2 weeks, because I'm just constantly getting disconnected from Twitch and my internet for like 10 seconds. Just it's like a 10-second drop and then it just comes back. I don't know. I hope this doesn't fuck up the recording, but we'll see.
It's fine. I'll make it work. I've got a technical difficulty screen prepped and ready to go, so I can just drop that in.
Sweet. I forgot what the hell we were talking about because I got so angry.
Oh yeah, I don't do editing.
Yeah.
Mostly like when we have major issues like this, I'll kind of clip bits in here and there when we're trying to figure out what's going on. It's like dead space, but traditionally I like the organic nature of the conversation, because for the most people I'm interviewing, I'm having this conversation with them for the first time, and I find there's something really genuine about just leaving everything in there. And also I'm lazy and editing sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird that I like editing, but going through and like finding ums and ahs and dead spaces, I'm just like, no.
I've really missed editing, which is why I think I wanted to start a podcast in the first place. Also because it was the middle of the pandemic and I was just fucking bored and I needed a new project because I was kind of getting burnt out on streaming after Mixer went down. I was like, I need a new project. I'm going to drive myself fucking insane. And I kind of, if I should send you a screenshot sometime of what a finished episode looks like. There are so many different camera cuts that we have to make, since it's not, because I know that your podcast, it's just two cameras on the same screen, but we bounce back and forth between each other, kind of like
Yeah, I've seen a couple of your episodes up on YouTube.
so
That looks like a nightmare to edit. I mean, it's probably a whole heap of fun, but I could not imagine sitting there doing that at all.
I could send you a quick picture of this. It's like just like uh this is like the very first draft of what I'm doing for today's episode, actually. And it's sometimes it just gets to be so time consuming. I remember the last episode took me about just because I was kind of lazy. It took me about a week and a half to edit, and it was only a 30-minute podcast, and I was like, oh man. Yeah, I sent you over Twitter. That's essentially what
That's rough.
an episode looks like when it comes down to doing
Oh
edits.
my god.
Like, all those that you see are camera cuts, essentially.
You can keep that.
So when people tell me that I don't work hard, I'm going to tell them
he works hard, lazy, but I've seen the photo. I may even include it somewhere. His internet has dropped again.
Oh my god.
But I'm telling you, Retro works. Oh no, he's back. Yeah, we're good. It's stuttering. We're okay. We're good. We're fine. We've got fingers on the pulse with the internet connection now, so we're touch and go. But we got this. Man works hard. That's a lot of cuts. I might even share on the Twitter afterwards. Because I'm in the process right now of getting ahead with episodes. Because I've been doing this weekly up at like for the last what, 32 episodes, 33, 34 episodes. I've been doing this week to week.
That's insane,
and it's a logistical nightmare. And so I'm like, we got locked down for like a week and a half. So I'm like, right, fucking book everyone, let's go. I got off a podcast at 4:30 this morning. It's now midnight tonight. I have one now, and then I have where's my calendar thing? I think I've got like one on Sunday morning, one Monday at midnight, and then one Wednesday at 4 a.m. or something like that.
That's crazy.
It's so like I'm just making the most of not working because I'm so used to working so much. When I don't have anything to do, I go downhill real fast. Like if I don't have like a task, like, and I've discovered this about myself, especially over lockdown, because it's the longest, the first lockdown we had, it'd been the longest I'd gone without working since I was 14.
How long was it?
And I'm 33 now. 3 months.
Wow.
2.5 months. I like the only time I generally take time off in between jobs is I'll take 2 weeks to reset, a week or 2 weeks just to reset between jobs, sharpen my knives, do all that, take some time off, relax, and go into the next job fresh. Because I've always found that kind of helps. But yeah, I've always been working full time or at minimum 35 hours a week since I was like 14.
Wow.
So learning to not work has been one of the most difficult things I've had in the last 2 years with all these lockdowns and stuff. And I've at the point now, we're like, all right, list the tasks, list the jobs around the house, create content, create something just to keep my sanity from fucking slipping. Like, I mean, I've got to homeschool the kids, which helps, but that's only a few hours a day. Like, and I'm one of those people that need to be moving like all the time. I have this like great fear if I stop I die kind of vibe.
I feel that so hard. When I was getting, like I said, when I was getting burnt out on streaming, I needed to do something creative, and I was like, it was either going to be a music project or it was like start a podcast. And I've had a couple podcasts that I've tried to start in the past before, but only got to like maybe 4 episodes. So it's a I consider it a big accomplishment to myself personally that we're currently going to be on our 25th episode. Like, you, on the other hand, are like where I can't wait to be with the podcast, having like 100 so episodes. What was it like? How did you feel when you hit that 100 mark?
It was pretty surreal. So when we hit episode 100, I joined this podcast on episode 16 as a guest. From there, I was asked to stay on as a permanent host with Dan and Static, who are good friends of mine that I used to stream with all the time. From there, they've moved on. We've had another one on, then he's moved on as well, and that was right at episode 99. He kind of let me know on episode 98. I said, look, man, I've got some shit going on. I can't do this anymore. But that's cool, no worries. And so episode 99 was where I stopped for about 3 months. And so coming back with episode 100 was like, it was kind of surreal because it's like, this is like the 100th episode of the podcast and it nearly didn't happen. Like I had Static, who's a good friend of the show. He's been on heaps. He was the original creator of the podcast. So I messaged him, hey man, I haven't seen an episode from you in like a couple of months. You okay? Oh yeah, just like this happened. I didn't know what to do. He's like, look, just have you tried just getting on guests? I'm like, I hadn't really thought about it. I was about ready to like, I was waiting on this guy to maybe come back, and it didn't happen. And so I just kind of stayed in this spot. He's like, we should get back on it and get into it. And here I am now, with a whole new show, because we used to like gaming news and stuff before this. I was like, I can't do that by myself, because I like reading out a news story and going, oh, this is my opinion, just sounds like fucking just
yeah.
Like it's fine when you can have a conversation with people about it.
When you're by yourself, it just feels awkward.
It's weird. I've done a solo episode though. I did one for my personal 100th, which was episode 116, and that is weird, man. Like it's weird. Like it's like, is this even like? I think it took me like 2 goes to get going, right? And the second time I went going, my audio shit out in the first 5 minutes, and I didn't notice till 45 minutes later. So I had to go back and restart the entire fucking recording and try and remember, because I did an AMA, so I had to try and remember. And it was great. I was being hilarious. I can't prove that, but I was hilarious.
Oh, no, I believe you, because there have been plenty of times where it's like I've recorded something and I'm like, this is the greatest shit ever. And then I go and it's like you move it into the editing software or something. It's like, this file is corrupted. It cannot be read. It's like, what?
No!
My finest hour!
I saw it. Aside from all that, nothing really changes. It feels good. Like I feel I've got this big sense of accomplishment, but I also have this weight of like, especially when I was changing tact with how I was running the podcast and what I was doing, I was kind of questioning whether I continued on or started something fresh. And that lasted for about 3 months. I'm like, do I keep doing this? Like, is this okay? Are people enjoying this? Because I hadn't been gone for so long. My numbers just I basically reset. But yeah, look, I'm sure when you get to episode 100, because I no doubt you will. You guys are funny as fuck. I love you listening to you guys. It's great. 100 is a great feeling when you get there. Like it's something to be proud of, for sure, which I am. I just my particular circumstance was kind of a little wonky.
Yeah. I mean, I often wonder, and this is not like doubting Brianna's credibility as a podcast host, but I can relate to you in, I've had a bunch of 2-person projects that I've started, and it always ends up with me having to carry it or anything. Like Young Retro was originally just a duo Let's Play channel. I don't think a lot of people know that. It started off,
really?
It started off as my friend Nick and I, we would go and we would play video games a lot, and friends that we had over were like, you two are like funny together. And he used to have a YouTube channel, and he used to make really funny video game reviews and stuff, kind of in the style of Video Game Donkey, JonTron kind of feel. And I was really drawn towards that content. So I was like, hey, would you want to start a YouTube channel together? And we got together over the course of 3 months, and then just recorded a bunch of stuff, got ready. And because I was like, I want this to be, like do this like for real. So we just got a bunch of episodes together, and we were like, what do we call ourselves? And we were like stoned as fuck at like 4 a.m. after a recording session. He was like, Young Retro, because we're young and we play retro games. It won't be the name forever, but it'll be a placeholder. And then sadly, his mom passed away suddenly, so he obviously took some time away from that, and we just never continued the channel. And when we were like waiting to see if he was like going to be able to come back and be in like a good spot mentally, uh, we made a Twitch channel and we made a Mixer channel because at the time I had another friend who I had done collabs with before. Um, when I first started my first YouTube channel back in 2014. And he was like, "Have you ever heard of this platform called Mixer?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "It's kind of like Twitch, but it's kind of just starting to get off the ground a bit. There's a lot of like talk that it could be a potential competitor with Twitch, and it's a lot easier to grow here. So if you're looking for a spot for more discoverability, you should make an account there and stream every once in a while." So I did. And the first Young Retro live stream that I did, like he was supposed to come on with me, but he ended up canceling. No fault by him whatsoever. Him and I are still really great
Yeah,
friends.
of course. Yeah, it's one of those
Yeah.
things. It's
Uh,
yeah, it's life happens and it's
Yeah.
okay.
And I did the first live stream by myself. It was a 12-hour live stream, the first one. And we got 100 followers in that
Wow.
first live stream. And I was like, what the fuck? And at the time, it was like, that was like more subs than the channel had on YouTube. And I was like, okay, we got something here. So then I got addicted to streaming. And then, eventually ended up getting partnered with Mixer. And then, the rest is dead. It's like Mixer ended up
Yeah,
closing.
it's gone. It doesn't even
Nope.
exist
What is
anymore.
that? What is Mixer? What was it?
What was the first game you streamed on Mixer?
The first game I streamed on Mixer, I streamed the entire Life is Strange game, episode 1 to episode 5 or
Oh
something like that.
wow.
Yeah, and that was like a 12-hour long experience. I was just like winded at the end of it, and at the end people were just like, "Thank you for streaming this. Like, can't wait to see more of your streams." And I was just like, "Oh my god, I think like this is something special." And for the 2 years that I was on Mixer, it was something special. It's something that I'll remember forever. Um but yeah, I started that channel as a duo, ended up being by myself. And then my first YouTube channel started out as a duo as well. My friend from high school, he was a foreign exchange student, and then he ended up staying in the United States after high school. So um, we were like, oh, like we should continue doing it. But then eventually priorities happened. I went to college, he went to college, and we just couldn't make the distance thing work. So almost every project that I've been on has been a two-person project that slowly turns into something that I carry. So I'm like, how long is it gonna be before I carry the the Daydream Arcade podcast? I don't think it'll happen, but I
Well, if it does, call me. I'll
oh,
come hang
thank
out.
you.
I feel like you and I could. Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
come help. We can run both in
yeah,
tandem. We can like branch out and just like cover everything with two. It'd
yeah.
be great.
We'll become the greatest podcasters that ever lived.
That's right. We will. There's another podcast right now. I don't know if you know him, Danfinity.
The name sounds familiar.
He's primarily a Destiny streamer, and this guy has generally 3 podcasts going at once that he's in. The man is like
I thought I had a lot on my
he
plate.
hasn't stopped. Man, I I have one. It's enough. I'm like this has prevented me from streaming mostly for like the last 6 weeks between work and this. I'm like I don't have time. I don't think I've been live twice the last 3 months or something. It's
Same,
ridiculous.
same. It's
I was like this is fine. Like, and I was sitting there thinking about this is before just before tonight, and I was sitting down. I watched a movie with my kids, and then I played some Apex with my wife, and then we watched a movie. I'm like, you know what, this is kind of nice. I like this. Like having time
yeah.
is really cool. And I think that's a big part of my like self-reflection journey with all these lockdowns and stuff is like I'm discovering how nice it is to have spare time. And I don't know, like maybe I'll get back to streaming occasionally, but I don't think I'll ever be able to get back.
I don't think I'll.
At the rate I was, especially when I was on Mixer, it's like really grinding it out every night for like 4 or 5 hours. I looking back at it, like it was a great time, but I don't know.
I don't have
right?
that. I don't think I have that drive anymore. Like I used to stream 8 hours a day, like 5 to 6 days a week. I don't know how the hell I did that for almost 2 years. And now it's like I get after like a 3-hour stream on Twitch, I'm like, man, I need a nap.
Yeah, it's like we're old man streamers now. Like you get on there, like I started like 10 and like 1 o'clock. I was like, like normally I used to be able to go like 3 o'clock strong. I'd be fine. But now I'm just like, 1:30. I'm looking at the clock by 12:30. I'm like, have I been streaming long enough to call it a night? Is this okay? I mean, everyone seems to be lurking. I might be able to just like sneak off and no one will know.
You sneak off of people. Where'd he go?
It's just like a BRB stream, 24 hours. That's all it is now. That's my content.
I'm like, I would love to get back into streaming, but it's like every time that I do, I just like something happens in my life where I'm just like, I can't do this. I'm gone. Bye, everybody. Love me on the way out. It's like
my Twitter's still moderately relative. Have you listened to my podcast? Bye.
I'm just gonna spam Daydream Arcade links. Follow me on TikTok.
Oh fuck! Is this what it is? Is this retirement? Is this where we're at? He's like, you become a streamer. This is like the life cycle. You become a streamer. You enjoy that, and then you get old and you start a podcast because that's like the thing to do now. So everyone starts a podcast. I mean, especially with lockdown, so many have started up, and then that's it. You forget about streaming, and then you're forever just a podcast.
So many celebrities during lockdown started podcasts or started YouTube channels or started streaming on Twitch, and it's like, I don't know. Maybe this is retirement, dude. Maybe this is what streamers who are just getting too old for the game do. They just start a podcast because it's just so easy to just sit down, have a conversation with a friend or two or three or four or five or six or seven or eight or nine or 10, and just like, just talk about shit.
Yeah.
Throw it together.
It takes up like 2 hours of your week, and that like you do this once a week and that's your content. You're good, right?
Exactly.
That's I'm like, this is fine. I'm good. I mean, you're a different story. You're pumping out TikToks and
I don't know how I'm doing it.
YouTube and I know a lot. I
don't know how I'm doing it. One of these days I'm gonna crash and burn.
Don't know how you're doing it.
It's gonna come crashing down. So everyone stick around for the ride because we're going to hell.
All downhill from here. Portal's opening up and we're going to hell. It's gonna be fine. So you and I were discussing before the show about our podcasts and our approach to, I mean, this has been a bit of a theme throughout this episode as well, and our approach to our work ethic and how we do things, when we discovered that neither of us plan any of this ever. What led you to that decision? Was it just kind of the way it was, or this couldn't be bothered?
A little bit of both. Also, I listen to some podcasts that are just freeform podcasts that just, they don't know how it's going to start. They don't know how it's going to end. But I like the journey of starting with just a simple, hey, welcome back to this episode, and kind of just seeing where the hell it goes from there. Because some of our best episodes have come from the awkward silence. What do we do? Like, how are we going to come out of that tangent into something relative? And some of the first couple episodes that have those weird endings, like the one where we kidnap Santa, and the whole story is that he's in the basement of the Daydream arcade and is just suffering down there. That was just an idea that just came out of nowhere, and I was like, hey, let's build this backstory where a bunch of shit happens in the Daydream arcade, where it's people listen to it and it's kind of like a continuation of this like story of just background stuff that happens that is also a podcast. It's I don't know, I find just that's where you can be the most creative, is where you just figure stuff out as it goes. I don't know. I've been very lucky when it comes to not planning things. Some of my best content, I think, is when I don't plan it.
Yeah, it's when you don't plan it to be good, and it's like you're just like, okay, I'm just gonna post this, whatever. And it's like suddenly starts doing well, and you're wait, people
Yeah,
liked that. Okay, can I do that again?
yeah.
No, but okay, that was fine. We will learn from that, move
Hmm.
on. Have you like guested on many other podcasts as well? I know you've run a couple yourself, but have you been a guest on many?
No, not really. This, and I don't know if you know All Rebels from Mixer, After Work Rebels, Ian and Jason. They had it's like once you see them, it's hard to forget them. They have like a lot of, it's a very how do I say this? They're very like green screen incorporated, and they're very good at improvising. They're just crazy dudes, and it's just a crazy show. But I was on their talk show a couple months ago. But other than that, this podcast and their show is the only thing I've ever really been a guest on.
Right, because I've guested on a couple of different forms of podcasts now. Like, I know a few people because I've been doing this a while that like do like gaming show stuff where it's like news related and like reviews and stuff like that. And it's so weird going into like they have like these show notes and it's like, all right, like I was on Mr. Boomstick's podcast of the Xbox Factor yesterday, and like he's like, oh, I'll send you the show notes, and it's just like into my DMs. I'm like, oh wow, this is a lot. Like he's like all this stuff that he read kind of verbatim, and then like all these other points he wanted to hit when he'd be talking when like they were talking, and that was such a surreal experience. I'm like, how do what
I,
okay, this is cool, but
I'd be
like,
so scared of fucking it up
when do you have time for this?
that I would never get invited onto another podcast for as long as I live. And I thought that like briefly, like I messaged Norm when you reached out to me. I was like Norm, I don't think I'm ready to be a guest on another podcast. I can't talk.
Oh no, I'm losing you. Up. Curse you,
All right, we're here.
ISP.
What was
We're
it? I
good. We're
was
good.
like,
It's fine.
I'd be scared that I'd fuck it all up, and that I would never get invited onto another show again. And I messaged Norm when you reached out to me to ask me if I wanted to come on your podcast, and I was like, oh man, like I don't know. He's got like 130 something episodes. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to contribute anything to this. I'm like, I'm not a great talk. I don't think I'm a great talker, but we'll see how it goes.
Hello.
Yeah,
We're good. We're good.
it's so
We're
weird. I don't know
okay.
what happened. Like you didn't drop out or anything. You were still talking and everything. I still heard you.
Yeah, you keep like dropping in and out. I have no idea what this recording is going to look like. For those who are listening at home, this will be in here. But welcome to the ride that is fucking ISPs that don't know how to get
Yeah,
this shit together. I
I do apologize for
oh
that,
no,
my
man,
friend.
it's totally fine. As someone that's from Australia, whose internet is generally in the shitter as a baseline, I understand your pain. Like I had an ISP here. I was having the same issues. Like at the same time, the internet would cut out. I was like, okay, that's weird. Called them up and said, look, this is what's happening. And said, oh yeah, just reset your router. Reset your router. 6 months later, it's still happening. And so, oh, we'll have to have a look. And they like, we're gonna have to take down your internet. Blah blah blah. It took them 6 months and they still hadn't figured it out. I'd been like, they'd give me like a 4G mobile plan that I could use like my phone, and I just had unlimited data, so I could do my daily kind of stuff that I did. Thankfully, this is before I started streaming or anything like that. So it was just when I was playing video games and stuff. Turns out, because I got sick of it and changed ISPs, and they were great, and internet worked fine ever since. Turns out that Telstra, yeah, I'm going to call you out, fuck it, because they're shitbags. They used to slow their routers, like because they gave you a router and it's the only router you could use for the internet with them, and they would slow their routers during peak hours down to like a third of what you're actually paying for. And like, because I went around the new ISP, I'm having all these issues with the other provider, I'm just kind of done with it. He's like, yeah, this is what they do. I'm like, you motherfuckers. And then Telstra got back to me like 3 months after I canceled my contract. Oh, we found the problem with your thing. It's this. I'm like, that's the same problem you told me 6 months ago and you didn't fix it. Fuck off, bye.
Yeah. I have Spectrum. I have Spectrum internet, and when I first moved into this apartment, I was paying $45 a month for internet, just myself, nobody else, like no cable or anything, just the internet package. And I am now paying over $80 a month for internet. They just randomly changed my fucking like bill, and I've called them, like I've asked, but it's like no one wants to give me a fucking straight answer, and I hate it. And Spectrum is the only internet provider around this area, so I'm kind of shit out of luck when it comes to ISPs. But hopefully in the next 2 years, my girlfriend and I are going to be moving somewhere where we have better internet
That
options.
does like, yeah, because it's different over here. Because I mean, I know over there you have like a lot of like smaller, like not independent providers, but you have a lot more choice, not choice, but like there's more brands out there. Whereas here, there's maybe like 4 or 5 mainstays, right? And like most of them are affiliated with one of the major ones because they all have the networking because they've got a bit of a monopoly on it. And yeah, so we have less. We had back then we had less choice. It was like Telstra, Optus, or Dodo, and that was all we had. And most of them were in each location, which was fine. But yeah, it wasn't as like as multiple as what it is over there in the States, from what I've heard.
I just want a better ISP. I just want to be able to stream. I just want to be able to do things without my internet cutting out every other minute for 10 seconds. It has been the bane of my existence for the last 2 weeks or so.
Man, that has got to be frustrating as hell.
Like, I never had this problem when I moved in.
Also, it's only just recently happened. It's not like a constant issue. It's just like, oh, they decided to start fucking your shit up just recently.
Yeah.
Well, let's not tempt fate any further. Man, we'll close it up there, dude. Thank you so much for coming on and shooting the shit with me. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've actually, I'm not gonna lie, I've known you for a while. We haven't really connected much, but I've always enjoyed your stuff, and I kind of got a bit excited when you were coming on because I'm like, this guy's a funny dude. I'm gonna have an absolute blast with him, and it's
thank you. I hope I lived up to your expectations, or at least 75% of your
like
expectations.
97, so you go.
Yeah. Oh shit!
Love it.
Yes. Dude, you're more than welcome to come on our show anytime because we need guests.
We'll have to well, next time you need a guest, call me. We'll definitely figure something out.
Absolutely.
I'd love to come on. That'd be great. So for those who are listening, that are still here, I thank you. Where can we find your shit, man?
You can find me at YoungRetro64 on Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, Young Retro Live on Twitter, and just Young Retro on YouTube.
Sweet. Easy as. You also have your Daydream Arcade podcast. Is that all through your YouTube as well? Is that separate channels?
Yes. Oh, it's the Daydream Arcade on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, all the podcast platforms, and then on Instagram, and Daydream Arcade on Twitter, because the Daydream Arcade is taken for some strange fucking reason.
Fucking rude. Thank you so much for coming on, ladies and gentlemen. If you enjoyed the podcast and you would like to keep in touch with me as far as the podcast is concerned, you can find us on Twitter at @left_pod. Find us on Instagram at 2LeftThumbsPodcast, because fuck consistency. And you can also find our YouTube channel via our website, 2leftthumbs.online. Thank you so much for listening and sticking it out with us. It's been fantastic. Retro, thank you for joining me.
You're welcome.
And for everyone else, I'll chat at you next week. Bye.
Consistency is for losers.